me again. Today we're gonna do a collab with my son. He has a channel too. It's called RAD Random Things. Every year for the holidays, either for Christmas or Thanksgiving, he usually will try to do some rolls if we haven't already bought some, or the schedule allows us to do it. Sometimes I have to just do it really quick, and then we just say whatever. Anyway, you don't need to know that part. What you need to know is today we are going to make the rolls that he loves making, which are Cloverleaf rolls.
Yep, that's what they're called.
So what you're gonna need is cupcake pans. Sometimes we only need one, sometimes we need two. So we'll see. You're gonna also need a large bowl that you grease. I like to just do the spray, but you can use olive oil or whatever oil you have on deck. We could do the bread by hand, but we're going to actually use my KitchenAid because it has a dough hook. I don't think either one of us are strong enough to keep doing all the kneading that is required to do this. The only thing different we are going to do is after we get the dough risen and it's time to separate it to shape it and put it in our pan, we plan to divide it by 3, so we have our little scale to make sure we get it pretty even, and then we'll be adding some food coloring to try to get it to look a little fall colors going on here. So we'll see how that works out. So that's going to be our experiment for today. Raph, I don't know if you want to take over and tell us all the ingredients you need.
So the ingredients you need is you need 3.5 to 3 3/4 cups of all-purpose or bread flour. So
in here we already have the 2 cups, and then here's our 1/3 cup and 1/2 cup.
And you also need a 1/4 cup of sugar.
That's our 1/4 cup of sugar.
A 1/4 cup of butter, softened.
Unsalted. Make sure it's unsalted. You don't want to use salted butter when baking.
You also need a teaspoon of salt.
And this is why, because you're already going to add salt.
So after it's done with the teaspoon of salt, you need 2 1/4 teaspoons of fast-acting dry yeast or regular active. Either or is fine. Remember, 2 1/4 cups. I mean, no, not cups. Teaspoons.
Yes, make sure it's teaspoons. Or 1 packet. Sometimes they
2
come in packets.
Teaspoons. 2 1/4 teaspoons. You need a 1/2 cup of very warm water. 120 degrees Fahrenheit to 130 degrees. Also, the same thing with a 1/2 cup of very warm milk. 120 degrees Fahrenheit to 130 degrees Fahrenheit.
Just carefully warm it in your microwave.
You also need 1 egg.
Oh, yep, we have our egg here too.
Alright.
Okay.
Let's get started.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and close this down, lock it.
So, in a very large bowl, stir 2 cups of flour. We have 2 cups of flour in there. We need the sugar.
Would you like to add the sugar?
There you go. We got the sugar. Then we need a 1/4 cup of butter, which we have right here.
Okay, actually I'm going to remove this, put the butter in, and lift it back up. It's probably good if you chop it up, but it's really soft, so it's not going to really chop well.
After the butter, you need the salt and yeast until well mixed. Salt and yeast.
Okay, so once I turn this on, it's going to get kind of loud, so I don't know how well you guys can hear, but I do plan on taking the camera so you can go see what's going on in here. We're going to set set this to a 2. We add our salt. And then what was it? You said yeast?
Yeah, yeast.
And our yeast.
After the salt and yeast. Okay. So you need to do that until well mixed.
Okay, here we go. I don't know if you guys can see it in there.
Yep, they can see.
Okay, good. Alright, well now it looks like it's really well mixed. Get ready to add the next thing.
So after it's well mixed, add warm water and warm milk and egg. So is it well mixed?
You tell me, does it look good? You can go ahead and start adding stuff.
I don't know.
You've done this before. I'll say go ahead and do it. Just do it. Do it.
So warm milk and warm water. Alright. We also need an egg.
How's it looking? Is it looking like a batter?
It has like the it's like a wall of like flower looking stuff, and then it's like a pool. It looks pretty cool. We also need to beat with electric mixer on low speed, 1 minute, scraping bowl frequently.
Well, this is how I do it. I just stick it in there, and what you would want to do next. Let me set our camera down. I'll pop in there with our little spatula. So what I do is I turn it off. Lift our little safety guard. It's actually more like a splash guard. And I just kind of take our little spatula and go along the edges where there's still a lot of flour and just kind of push it in there.
So then it can mix properly.
Until all of it gets really well combined into more like a batter. And then once it does that, we can move on to the next part. Actually, I'll leave this up so you can see. I'm going to take the camera to this. Excuse me. So here we go. Back over.
So now we need to beat on medium speed, 1 minute, scraping bowl frequently.
Nope, it's fine. I already have it on level 2.
Okay.
And that's for making dough. So once this gets to like a batter, we will then start adding the leftover flour. Once we add the leftover flour, it should start looking more like dough.
Alright.
So I think we're doing pretty good. So what you need to do next, Raph, is gently put on the splash guard. Yes, perfect. Okay. Now grab the cup of flour and gently pour it into the chute there.
Oh.
That's okay. You can just take your little spatula and just kind of gently tap that and it'll start going in.
So now we need to add the half cup, correct?
Yep, just give it a second, let it kind of mix in there.
It's looking a lot like dough.
Alright, now add your half cup. And then do the same thing with the spatula, just tap it in there. Alright, perfect. Okay, we should not need the splash guard anymore. You could just gently remove it, just be careful. Thank you. Normally I do keep the splash guard on there, but in this case, because I want you guys to be able to see how this looks, I thought it would be easier if we just take it off.
It's really sticking together now. You can see that the flowers on the wall is like starting to come down. It's really cool.
Yeah, the dough should just start grabbing at it at the wall and start mixing it.
I feel like it looks kind of different.
There it goes.
I can smell the bread.
I know. Oh, if only they had smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision?
Yeah, smell-o-vision, so everyone watching could smell the freshness too.
Yeah.
The best is when you bake it though.
Yeah.
And when it freshly comes out of the oven. Oh my gosh.
So, when this is done, you need to place dough on lightly poured surface. You need about 5 minutes or until dough is smooth and springy, like kneading.
Alright, well give me 1 second. I'm gonna actually pull this off the hook. Because what happens, let me turn this off for a second. What I've noticed happens, this is just my experience with it, most of the dough in the very center that's on the hook is still has a lot of moisture to it, where the outside part of the dough is a little bit drier because that's what's been pulling the flour that we had added later and started pulling off the wall. So what I like to do is take it off the hook and kind of turn it around so that way the drier part will now be more at the hook and then the wetter part will be more at the outside and it'll start to work itself out to be more even. And then at this point, after it goes for a little bit, if it's still kind of like sticking in any places, you'll know if you need to add more flour to this or not. Also, if it seems kind of crumbly and dry, you might want to add like a teaspoon to tablespoon of some water to get it to be more dough shaped. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I'm going to show you what this looks like because it's starting to stick at the bottom, which means we might need a little bit more flour.
This happens every time I do it.
Yep, same here. I think it's the moisture in the air. If you live in like a drier climate, you're going to need more water. If you live in a more high humidity climate, you know, it's going to be more wet and you're going to need more flour.
Yeah, I think they can see some of the...
Yeah, you can see where it's sticking at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is add some flour. I'm going to add like a tablespoon or so.
This is like
Get this back.
This is like the really cool part and the most satisfying part too.
Luckily, I got some flour over here. I think we'll go ahead and just do a whole tablespoon. Yeah, that's really sticking to that bottom there. So just kind of brush that off. And we'll just gently add that.
Alright, I can't tell if it is like still sticking at the bottom. I think it isn't anymore. Yeah, it definitely isn't. It's like ripping the bottom apart.
Yeah. So what we'll do, let me scrape that bottom a little bit so it makes sure it goes back. There we go, just scrape that, and that should just go with the rest of the dough. Do that too again. If you have a KitchenAid, level 2 is probably the best level to go with as far as making dough. It will keep it together without going too fast. But then also it doesn't go too slow where, you know, your dough's just kind of oozing off the hook. Okay, so I think we're going to go with this.
Alright. That's really nice and satisfying.
Yep, it's not like pizza dough. Let me see here. Okay, so what I like to do to make it so it doesn't stick to my hands. So I also don't like to add too much flour, because if you add too much flour, it also gets very dense.
Can I poke it?
So then your bread will be very dense. Yeah, you can poke it. Let's get some flour on our hands. Here, put your hand. Some flour on your hands.
Alright.
And we're gonna move our bowl over here.
Yeah, flour on our hands.
Yep. Flour on your hands. I'm start pulling it out with my floured hand until that gets kind of sticky. And that we're gonna. Actually, the spatula works very nicely to unstick it. This is why I like to move it to a grease bowl. I usually don't keep it in this mixing bowl. For my rising, you can if you want. You can prep it that way. I usually don't, because in this case especially, get some flour on that. In this case especially, we are going to be dividing it up and adding food coloring. So when I do the food coloring, we're going to put it back in here with the dough hook and let it mix that in for us. So you want to put this in, kind of roll it into the grease.
So, place.
And then we're going to cover this with saran wrap. Let me wash my hands first.
So we place dough on lightly floored surface. I think we already did that.
Yeah, we're way past it. You don't have to read that no more. We got this. Alright, so all we have to do now is put our saran wrap on it and let it sit for a whole hour. Yep, it needs to rise for an hour before we can work with it again.
It's going to be end of part 1.
We're going to let it rise for a whole hour. Hold on here. We're having issues trying to cut this. Okay. Alright. I'm going to get the camera and show you what it looks like. Well, actually, I could probably just do this. This is what it looks like now. So in an hour, it should be twice that size. And we'll be able to hopefully divide it out and add some food coloring.
1 hour later, and we are back.
Yep, it's been an hour, and this is how much it's risen. If you remember what it looked like before, it's gotten quite big. Definitely doubled in size. So go remove this. We don't need it no more. What we're going to do is I'm going to set my scale to pounds and ounces, and I'm going to carefully pull this out. Now it's going to shrink a little bit because it's mostly full of like that gas and air, and we're just going to weigh it. Alright, it's 1 pound and 14 ounces, so we're going to try to divide this evenly. Set this over here by 3 and hope for the best, pretty much. Alright, so let me roll it out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it here, estimatedly, and we're going to cut it here. So I'm going to weigh this. This is 10 ounce. 10 ounce. 10 ounces. Ooh, that was good on the first try there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. There we go. That's off. We don't really need this anymore. Now we just need our mixer. So what Raphael wanted to do, he wanted to do 3 colors. And we're going to see how that comes out. So let me just kind of get them a little ball shape here. Alright, Raph, we're going to start, I think, with the magenta. So we're going to lift this up. What I'm going to do is open it, like kind of flatten it out. I'm going to put the die in the middle here.
Alright.
Put put like a... there we go. That's about 2 drops. This is a gel dye. I heard powders work better. I have worked with like regular, like the liquid food coloring, and it doesn't work as well. You have to add so much dye that ends up like putting too much moisture in there. The gel works pretty well. So let me go ahead and turn this on. I'm gonna set it to 2, and we get the camera, and we're gonna take a look. And Raphael, let me know how it's doing.
Alright.
Is it changing color?
No.
Not yet? Oops! Oh no! That's ridiculous. Alright. Let's try to stick that back up there.
It's starting to change color.
Now it's starting to change color? Of course. Hopefully you can stay on. There. You able to see? Is it changing colors a lot?
It's gradually changing colors. You can see like a streak of red, pink-ish.
Okay, I think what we're gonna do...
Once it starts, like, really...
I'm gonna let it mix in there, and then we'll take it out and we'll knead it onto the flat surface.
Alright.
I just want to make sure we don't stain our hands with color.
It's starting to stick to the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I don't want it to do. Okay. So I think from this point, look at this.
It looks okay-ish.
Yeah, right now it's marbled. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep kneading it on the surface.
I want to knead it.
Hold on. Let me get it all out because we got to put the next one in. Okay. So what you want to do is just keep rolling it around. Because at this point, hopefully it's not going to stain your hands anymore. And just kind of stretch it and fold it in. And we'll keep going up. And hopefully it'll become pink. So I'm going to do the color on the next one. Yeah, you keep kneading that till that color mixes. And the next one we're going to do is purple. Put like 2 drops in there. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the mixer because I didn't want to stain my hands. And of course I did. Alright, I'm going to put it back into a ball. Put it in the mixer. And get that started. Put that on a 2. That's as good as we're going to get. Otherwise we'll be kneading here all day. Carmel, we're busy. You just said something, you interrupted us. Stop talking to us.
Alright, so we got the purple one in here.
Yep, so we're going to take our purple out. I'm going to have to scrape it as well. That way we can get our turquoise dough in there. Okay, so what you got to do, I'm showing Raph what he needs to do because he needs some help on the pink. You want to press it down, like have both hands going, fold over, press, and just really do something like this. And if you can get your other hand in, then get your other hand in. So what I do is just kind of twist it and press.
It's already looking pretty purple.
So I'm going to hand this to him while I get the turquoise ready. There you go.
Alright.
Put like 2 drops. It's actually looking like 2.5, but that's okay. More color probably look better and brighter. Especially when you bake it. Okay, so I make a little ball. that in. I'm gonna try to pull more of this purple off the hook and push it in here. Okay. I'll get this started here. The reason I started in here is because I don't want us to stain our hands. Once you get most of that dye kind of worked into the dough, it has a lesser chance of staining your fingers when you start working with it with your hand. If we had something more like a powder dye, that would probably work better, because then we wouldn't have to worry about our hands staining, but this is what we got. We got that gel stuff. You can also do like natural powder dyes, like if you've seen people do green with like green tea, it will make the bread have like a green tea flavor. You could do turmeric for yellow. Again, it would probably add a little bit of flavor. So there's just a lot of different ways you can go about it. You just have to be prepared for what it's going to taste like at the end. You want like more of a brown? You could do chocolate bread. You can put cocoa powder in there. You've had cocoa bread. Haven't you tried cocoa bread? I thought I brought some home once. We went to this, me and his dad, we went to like some kind of, gosh, what was that? It was like a steampunk kind of restaurant.
I don't remember this.
This was out in Florida, in Orlando.
Oh,
the chocolate factory, that's what it was. But it was still very, like, steampunk inside. And they served, with their appetizers, this chocolate bread. It was really good. And I remember bringing some back just so the boys could taste it. You probably don't remember. That was like a while ago. Probably like 2017, I think.
That was like 3 years ago. I probably would have remembered that.
What, 17? Yeah, well, I don't know. It's been a long time. But I remember giving you and your brother like a taste of it. Kind of reminiscent of like brownies, but the texture was definitely bread. It was really good. Alright.
Turquoise, blue, green, whatever you want to call it, is doing really good with the mixer.
I think purple is done. It's kind of more of a gray tone.
Yeah, but you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
There you go. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. We probably could have added maybe another drop to this. But I think it'll be fine. I think we'll go with it.
Alright, I think we need to stop the turquoise. It's looking really good.
Alright, let me pull that up out of there. That part looks like it might stain our hands, but let's go pull it off. And to pull the other part out. There we go. Pull that in. It's very bright.
Yep.
This bottom here where it doesn't have a lot of the dye in, but just enough, kind of reminds me of toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
Let's scrape a little bit. Alright, you want to try at it?
Alright.
You're just like laughing. Well, that's the best way to make bread, as long as you're happy and having fun. When you start getting frustrated and angry at your bread, that's when you need to stop. Maybe do something else.
Your bread is a very helpful companion because you eat it.
Well, I never looked at bread like that, but I just know it's delicious.
Which is why it's a very helpful companion.
I don't know, it doesn't really do much for me other than it tastes delicious. Here, I'll go with it. Okay, so you know what the next part is, right?
We divide it into like different whatchamacallits?
Yeah, we need to divide it into balls. We need to get our little cupcake pan over here and start spraying it. You want it nicely greased before you stick the dough in there, otherwise it's going to be kind of hard to get it out at the end. Alright, so I'm going to keep doing this. Let's see, how many do we need to fill? We need 24 little balls.
Yep,
each dough piece. So while I'm doing this to the turquoise, because it's got a little bit more it could go, you can kind of see some of the darker parts. I'm going to try to really blend that in. So what I'm going to do is have Raph take our pink, because before we put it into the molds, we really need to count them out and make sure we can get enough without compromising the bread. You don't want it too small.
3.1.
Don't want it too big either, but.
Should each ball be 3.1 ounces? Since.
I mean, if you want to measure it, you could, but honestly, I just think if you just take it and stretch it out and then just start chopping at it and then making the little balls, it usually works out fine.
Okay. So pink?
Yep, start with pink. Let me put purple back over here. Honestly, it doesn't matter which color you start with, because since all three are going in there, there really is no pattern to it. They're all going to be in the same boat.
There you go, like this? Like this, or like...
No. Hold on. I think turquoise will be done. You want to take it, you don't want to flatten it out. You're going to make like a log. Because what I like to do is to make sure it's even.
I get it now.
I will, you could either start at one end and chop it that way, but for me, because I like to keep them even, I will do them in half. And then take each one, go in half again. And then this one seems kind of big, so then I'll do that and then cut that.
So like...
Yeah, like that. Cut, and we're going to do this until we get a decent number. When we start getting bigger, we just boop. So we got, how many we got so far? You're going to be my number guy.
Okay, so right now we have 9.
We have 9? Okay. Let's try to get that number to 12. I try to keep them about the same size. That's probably like the hardest part. I'll watch them as they puff up, and then you don't want them to go too small. I think this is probably the smallest we want to go. Any smaller than that, and you pretty much don't have anything. If you have anything where if you cut it in half, it's going to end up being too small, you can always take like a little bit out of one, and then kind of look and see who else is too big, and then you can cut that and then hopefully just make another one out of the extra. Okay, that's looking kind of big too. How many we got?
So we got...
We're obviously going to let these rise as well.
15.
We have 15. So now what, that's 16. And then this will take us to 17. That one seems kind of big. I think we should call it at 17.
Okay.
It's an odd number, but that's okay, because we can take number 17, and that could be our little tester to see how it comes out at the end when we, we want to see. We want to see what it looks like. So let's just set these guys here. They're going to look a little bit different in size, because as they've been sitting and waiting, they're rising.
They are?
Mm-hmm. That's why some of these ones that were like really small, the ones I had recently cut, are completely different in size to this one, because this is already expanding.
Interesting.
Alright, so let's go with purple. This one definitely needs to be cut in half. And what number are we on these purple here? Let's see. So this is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
One more.
Yep, just one more. So I'm trying to see who's the biggest. Because we got some kind of small.
I think this one.
Between this one and this one. Well, yep. We'll go with that one. Because you pointed at it. Okay, so from here, we're going to take our little pans. I'm going to go ahead and spray them. And Raph knows what to do next. You pretty much grab each piece of dough and you roll it into like a ball. And he'll show you how to set them in there. Okay.
Alright.
Let's see if I can get some room over here. If you could move that one for me. Thank you.
So what you want to do is set one of each ball, one of each color, in the slots, the cupcake slots.
Yep, so I'm going to help out. I got turquoise here. And we're going to put it over on this side. And I'll get the camera over so you guys can see how you want to set them in. Or actually, I could just, here, I'll just show you from here. See how you set them in, like, kind of diagonal from each other? You don't have to press them into each other. They should rise, and as they rise up, they'll start sticking together.
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay, you want to make sure all the pieces you pick, like if you pick a small piece, put it with the smaller piece, big piece with big piece, because we want them to kind of grow at the same time, yeah. So if you get one that's kind of big, that's okay. You don't want one color
to rule them all.
Yeah. You want to make sure all three of them are going to be about the same size, so that way you get the result you want. Okay, so you got purple, I'll grab the pink. This is what it looks like so far, and we're going to go ahead and put the rest of these in the other cupcake holder. Cover it in saran wrap like before, and then wait, like I said, 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, we waited only 30 minutes because we have quite a few that have really puffed up, and we don't want those to puff up anymore because when you bake them, they will also rise up some more. Go ahead and get rid of our saran wrap. Right here, I took some salted butter and melted it and put a little bit of sugar in there. And what we're going to do is just kind of put a little bit of butter on each one before we stick it in the oven. Our oven has been preheated to 375. And what we're going to do, it says that you would want to bake them for 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and I will set the timer for 12 minutes because I want to take a look at it first before, you know, putting it the full time. You don't want these to burn. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to stick them in the oven. And I will probably get the camera and get a close-up look once they start baking. Okay, let's go ahead and ship these right next to it. Woo! Burned myself. Okay. Alright, so we're going to wait 12 minutes and then we'll come back and I'll get the camera and we'll take a look and see how they turn out. Okay, it's actually been 15 minutes because after 12 it wasn't ready. Now unfortunately, because of all the color we added, it's not going to really look golden brown. So what I have to do is kind of look for those little like brown spots to know if we got it. So I'm going to pull this out.
Brown spots.
And actually, here, Ref, if you could hold this while I get the other one, because I think I'm going to need both hands. These two here. There we go. Alright, so let me get a wooden spoon here and kind of tap it and see if it sounds kind of hollow. Yeah, it doesn't sound too dense.
It's making a harder sound than I thought. I thought it'd be like soft.
Well, there's 3 of them in there, and they, you know, there's like little walls in between each color. Alright, so now these just gotta cool. Let me go get a little rack.
I think they came out pretty good. Some of them have like a little colors that kind of dominated, like this one. Some of them are like really big, like this one, or these. Overall, I think it came out pretty good.
Okay, so we have our little cooling racks here. And as I said, we're not going to put that butter in there. I'm going to save it for Thanksgiving when we're going to use it again. So with these guys, since they're kind of hot, I'm going to go get like some tongs. That we can use to help us get them out of there without burning our hands. So Raph, you might want a mitten as well. Here, use my Halloween mitten, because it's the best mitten. The best. Here we go. And they should just come out relatively easy. It's just that you want to use the tong to hold it to transfer it over here. Yeah, don't stab it, just lift. Here we go. Alright, so I think what we'll do is we'll probably take this because it's the smallest, and we'll probably eat this one.
Taste test it.
I would say with this one, it looks like the turquoise overpowered it, but honestly, it didn't. It's just how you set it in the pan, because as you can see in the bottom, the pink was smushed more. And all we had to do is really just put them in there more evenly, because what you want to get is something more like this, where you got all 3 on the bottom. And then you'll get some nice, like, even shapes here. Alright, so let's see. Ooh, even though it's hot, let's go ahead and rip it apart, because I'm sure everybody wants to know what it looks like inside. Alright, here we go.
Huh.
There we go.
That actually got taken apart pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's supposed to come apart really easy, so that way you could just, take a little piece. You can dip it in some gravy, mashed potatoes. I like doing all that kind of stuff. You can spread them apart, put some butter, and then kind of stick them back together in your plate, so then the butter will melt. I'll give you turquoise because you like that. It's kind of hot. Careful. I think I'm going to eat purple. I'm going to put pink down. We'll probably split pink. Let's see if it tastes good. Mmm. Nope, tastes like bread. Mmm. But it's like fresh baked bread. With that nice, like, crunchy outside.
Honestly, it's like, it's kind of tasteless, to be honest.
Really? Oh, mine tastes really good. Here. This is the part I didn't get to do because we aren't eating it today. There. That better?
Yeah, with the butter, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Here. Mmm. I like bread.
Bread is good.
Alright, well, thank you for coming with us on our little journey of making little bread rolls that are shaped like clovers. Or at least that's what they call them, cloverleaf rolls. Thank you, Raphael, as usual. He makes very good rolls. And I hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Raph?
Be sure to give this channel a lot of support. Please like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and it would be greatly appreciated if you even went to my channel. It's called RAD Random Things, and even subbed to it and checked out my videos.
Alright, well, thank you again, and we'll maybe see you next time. Alright, bye!
Bye!
I don't know, that does not sound like a turkey. Bye!